Now, in another ANN7 expose, evidence in our possession reveals that the mining Imbizo in Middelburg, Mpumalanga, could have been disrupted intentionally. The pictures show that money exchanged hands to disrupt the event, which Mineral Resource Minister Mosebenzi Zwane was meant to address. Unverified images on your screen show that a man is handing out cash to some of the people who attend the Imbizo and later disrupt it. It has come to light that food parcels were handed over to the community members so they can disrupt the Imbizo.
Unacceptable situation that anyone should be paid to go and disrupt a meeting. It's very unfortunate that this happened because the mining charter, as introduced by Minister Zwane, is a very significant document. It is a document that deals with radical economic transformation in the mining sector, and it addresses some of the most serious concerns that people have expressed about the conditions under which workers are working, but also with regards to shareholding in the mining industry. So it's all about increased black economic empowerment, and really we would have loved to see the people in that community being able to engage with the minister and to be able to understand what are the opportunities that are created for them by this charter. So it's an unfortunate situation. It should not have happened. And I really hope that whatever the concerns were around the presentation at that meeting can be sorted out in a proper manner, but it is not the way to do it by paying people to disrupt a meeting. That is not the way we should deal with any unhappiness that we have, and we shouldn't, in the process of expressing our unhappiness, take away the possibility of other members in our community to engage on a progressive document such as the Mining Charter.
In South Africa today, we have political parties such as the opposition parties, DA and EFF, and their leaders who are paid quite clearly by London to disrupt any radical economic transformation program. But also inside the ANC, we have people who are also part of this process of basically undermining the radical economic transformation of President Zuma. They are also being instructed to disrupt and to oppose the mining charter. Now, we have seen in Mpumalanga, for instance, when the minister went there to speak to the community, a community which came to listen and to engage the minister because the mining charter for the first time provides real benefits for our people. Then these same agents who are operating inside the ANC went to our people with money to buy them to disrupt that process. It is a well orchestrated, well-planned, systematic process to stop, to sabotage radical economic transformation, to sabotage the mining charter. Why? Because the mining charter will benefit black people, but is going to take shares away from white monopoly capital. So defenders of white monopoly capital are making sure that the mining charter is being undermined, and they are paying poor people who will be made poor, by the way, by the same mining companies. The mining companies has made us poor. The mining companies have our minerals. And when the minister and the president of the country wants to give us some minerals, the same agents of white monopoly capital go to our poor people and lie to them, giving them 100 rands because our people are so poor, our people are so hungry. They take that money and they disrupt a process which is beneficial to them.
Well, I want to encourage our viewers to please engage with us. Let us know your views and comments. You can call in and let us know what you think of this discussion and share your views and comments with us. That number will flash on your screen shortly. But joining me in studio this evening to discuss this further is Mr. Ricardo Olafir, the founder of the Rights to Print Banknotes Independently. Joining us over the phone line is Bongi Force, former PRET project manager as well. Good evening to you, Ricardo. Thank you for joining us here on ANN7 this evening. Now, taking a look at the disruption of the Imbizo that took place a couple of weeks ago, we saw that disruption taking place. Yes. Now, pictures have come to the fore of people supposedly exchanging 100 Rand notes, seeming to suggest that, you know, the disruptions were planned. Just taking a look at those pictures, what is your initial reaction to what's happening here?
This is a well-orchestrated move by white monopoly capital in having to take advantage of the poorest of the poor. So we cannot say that and sit back and say this is good for our communities, because these are black people that's been taken advantage of by white monopoly capital, because they know that the mining charter that is now being implemented by the minister is going to give black people access to the land, and not only to the land but access to their minerals. It's our minerals of this country.
You say that this is orchestrated by white monopoly capital to take advantage, of the poorest of the poor of South Africa. Why do you say that, and what do you have to back up those sort of statements?
Yes, when I'm referring to the poorest of the poor, when you look at the mining communities, they are not well looked after by these white miners. That's why you can see them even today heading to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange,
yes,
and having to deliver their memorandum of understanding. So it's often clear that these people have been taken advantage of by their minerals and both their living conditions. So when you go to Kimberley, I visit many areas in Kimberley, and the conditions of those mining communities are very poor. So we cannot stand by and say it's good, let this go forward, and there's a new mining charter. The new mining charter will give us access to that, and that needs to change. So these are poor people that you can see picketing even to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange.
Well, we've got a caller on the line. We've got Nati joining us from Durban. Good evening to you, Nati. What do you want to share with us?
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Well, thank you, Nati. Thank you for joining us.
Good. My name is Nacho Mpamuza Myando. I'm the president of Delangokbona Business Forum. We have members nationally that are more than 50,000 that are for the mining charter. We believe that the mining charter was a door which was made for black people to get into this mining business. But then again, when you get like the chamber opposing this mining charter, it means that the mining industry is for white people only. So we cannot stand by and support that. We are against this, and we say we stay forward with the minister, and we support the minister 100%. And we say we must open doors to black people. We always talk about black business and opportunities. But then again, you people as a chamber are closing us out. You don't give us a chance. You don't allow us to be part of this mining sector.
Well, thank you very much, Nati, for sharing your comments with us. We want to encourage our viewers to call in and share their views with us. We've got another caller on the line, Brian from Katlehong. Good evening to you, Brian. Thank you for joining us. What do you have to share?
Evening, ma'am, and your panel.
Thank you very much, Brian. You may continue.
Yes. Ma'am, what happened at somewhere, I think it was in Mpumalanga, where communities were invited into a hall and given money and T-shirts. It's not something new that is happening in our politics. It's something that is happening every time. The likes of Mkitama. You can see Mkitama, when Mkitama is getting money, we don't know. Everything that Mkitama is standing for is advancing, we don't know. You can see that it's a rented crowd, you get few people, then you go with them. The language that we are using, I wonder where these people were prior 1994. Because language now, it's white monopoly capital. We had white people who were fighting with us to destroy apartheid. But today we are saying white monopoly capital. Are we also saying Kalni House it's a white monopoly capital? Kalni House is our comrade. He fought with us in the trenches. We cannot call Kalni House a white monopoly capital. We must be specific and say monopoly capital. It destroying the country. People are unemployed. People don't have houses. People must get houses. People must get jobs. That is my point. And stop dividing the country. I believe Mandela is rolling in his grave.
Thank you very much, Brian.
The country is going down.
Brian, thank you very much for your comment. We appreciate you joining us this evening. Another caller joining us on the phone line, Malkaya from the Eastern Cape. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us here on ANN7. Your comments, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
No, I think this mining charter, the minister has the duty to say to the whole country, to unpack the whole thing, so that the people on the ground would understand fully what is it that is pertained in this charter. Before this hullabaloo of noise and people being given this 100 rand notes and all that, and talk to the people. What is it that's going to benefit as black people, as a black nation, as a black pride, so that at the end of the day, the people who reside around those areas where the mines are situated must know what is it that they are going to get. What is it that is going to benefit? I mean, if their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, what is it that they're going to gain out of that? If it is something that is hidden, then people will always question that. But nevertheless, I cannot say I condone what I see on the television. It's totally uncalled for. It's a very much a very bad image to us as black people to show that kind of anarchy. Even if they were opposed to the minister, Msebenzi Zwane, I think they should have applied other means, because it shows disrespect. It shows that we are still those people who can be bought. You know, we can be bought to display a very anarchic thing there on the television side, because this is not about South Africa. This is about the international world looking at us. What kind of a democracy? People died, people were imprisoned, people are still having unmarked graves even now. What do we think about those people? You know, we must always have our own conscience before anything. This hullabaloo noise of conferences and all those things, we must always know at the end of the day, we must talk about is service delivery to our people. You know? You must never be hell-bent on these issues of these 100 rand and all that. What are the people on the ground or the children, what are going to benefit from that? We cannot always look at these food parcels as if this is a thing that will be up for a long time. We must not be bought people, especially as a black nation. We must be proud, guys, of what the color of the skin of us.
Well, thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate you calling in and engaging with us. I want to ask more of our viewers to talk to us. Let us know your views and your comments with regards to this story. More phonos coming through. We are joined by Mlungisi from Durban. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us here. Your views and comments with regards to this story.
Good evening, my sister Mlungisi from Chesterfield.
Thank you very much.
I don't know why people say it is wrong to say white monopoly capitalism, because we always say blue-collar crime, white-collar crime. You know, we will never, as black people, be successful as long as there is white monopoly capital. You know, before I used to think that the ANC is a toothless organization when I was growing up. But now I'm realizing now that the people who are frustrating the African National Congress is white monopoly capital. You know, the constitution that we have is wrong. It must be thrown away. It must be banned. It's not for us. You know, sometimes I think, man, you know, perhaps I won't be surprised, perhaps in a few years come down the line, because whites are happy if they see black people hungry, unhappy. You know, ma'am, I won't be surprised in a few years down the line when I see ourselves joining groups that they call terrorists like Al-Qaeda, ISIL, Boko Haram, because this is the last step. If you fail these steps, the formal steps that the government is introducing, then we have our backs are against the wall. We have no other means rather than perhaps joining other groups, more violent groups, rather than perhaps this formal that the government is making. I won't be surprised. Perhaps even now, perhaps in South Africa, there is Al-Qaeda, there is Al-Qaeda, there is ISIL. Because as long as we are poor, it is easy for us to join ISIL. Perhaps ISIL will liberate us. Because the white monopoly capital don't want blacks to be liberated. Yeah.
Let me interject there. Thank you very much for sharing your comments with us. We've got a few more callers on the line and we will be engaging with them shortly. But I just want to go to my guest who joins us on the phone line. That's Bongi Force the former Pret project manager. Good evening to you, Bongi. Thank you for joining us here on ANN7 this evening. We've gotten a lot of engagement from our viewers with regards to the mining charter, with regards to the interruptions that we saw at the mining Imbizo taking place in Mpumalanga, 100 Rand notes being exchanged. One of the callers saying this isn't something new, it's been happening all along. Just your initial reactions to that. I do apologize. We seem to have lost Bongi on the phone line. Let's go back to our phone lines. We've got Senzo from Johannesburg joining us this evening. Senzo, good evening. What do you have to share with us?
Good evening, and good evening to the panel and the viewers, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, it is a painful situation in South Africa to see leaders like the Deputy President of the country denying that there is white monopoly capital, sounding opposed to what the minister is tabling for black people. And it goes as much as even trying to oppose every step that the government is announcing on radical economic transformation. And only that alone shows we have a serious problem in the country. Therefore, we are not going to fail to have situations like those people being paid to disrupt these activities. It is within the ANC and outside the ANC. A person who denies that there is white monopoly capital, don't forget people like Oppenheimer, Tiny Roland, they work for the Rothschild family, which is the same Rothschild family that other people like the Ruperts are part of, who had a clear plan, which was written by Tiny Roland, that give Africans political freedom and take away economic freedom so that we have a new trend of economic colonization, which is a clear program, which is there, but surprisingly, we have a deputy president denying it. We are being sold from within our leadership that we have elected. What happened in Mpumalanga? We would not put away the fact that people like the deputy president are involved and definitely involved. What Trevor Manuel, they are involved, and they are part of the white monopoly capital that they are denying. It's something that's there. It was planned. It was documented by Tiny Roland.
Thank you very much.
So what we are saying now, this mining charter is just a beginning. It's just a foundation that the minister has laid for Africans now to have proper power in their economy, which is reversing what Tiny Roland planned. We read books, we know exactly why it's planned that they will colonize us economically. It's not something new. Why are leaders like Ramaphosa refusing? Why are Trevor Manuel refusing? The fact that they are even fighting the president for saying, give back the land without compensation. And they are part of, we would say they are now opposition. We have opposition within the ANC because they are benefiting from the system, which was well planned by Tiny Roland.
Senzo, I'm going to have to cut you off there. Thank you very much for sharing your views and comments with us. We appreciate it this evening. I want to encourage more of our viewers to call in and share your views with us. We've got Bongi Force back on the line, former Pret project manager. Good evening to you, Bongi. Thank you for joining us here on ANN7. Now, taking a look at these images that have come to the fore, suggesting that people were paid to interrupt the mining Imbizo that took place in Mpumalanga. Just your initial reaction here.
Good evening. Well, my reaction on these pictures and everything when I was there and I was part of Pret, and when we initially started the project, it was a genuine unemployment structure that we seek to attend the high rate of unemployment, and we wanted to target the mining industry, the private sector, so that our community can benefit because we are in the mining area. But as time goes by, seeing the direction that Pret was taking, the direction of giving people food parcels, giving them money, it's like you're dangling a carrot in front of the poor people so that they'll follow you, they'll do whatever you do. Since the inception of Pret, 11 March, when it was launched, we were supposed to have achieve lot of employment for our people, skills development, enterprise development, but it has never happened. It has taken a different direction, of which you can assume that it is somewhere politically motivated, because now, why do we give people food parcels instead of fighting their minds to give people jobs? Why do you give people money? When you give money, you're dangling a carrot in front of a person so that that person will follow you, whether you're doing a right thing or not. Saying that the minister did not follow the protocol, why is the Pred now advocating for government? Because we're supposed to be fighting for unemployment people, fighting for our rights, and as unemployment people, now we have taken a different direction. We should have sat down with the office of the minister and saying, listen, we're not comfortable with 1, 2, 3, but instead we wait for the actual day of the event to go and fight this. This shows that we as Pred was not advocating the right of unemployment.
Was Bongi Force, the former Pred project manager, joining us on the phone line there. But joining me in studio this evening is Pascaline Mazibuko, Sanko Ngatlala region, as well as Matilda Yende, the Community and Economic Development Forum. We were joined earlier by Mr. Ricardo Olifir, the founder of the Rights to Print Banknotes Independently, and that was Bongi Force, former Pred project manager, joining us on the phone line there. Good evening to you, and thank you for joining us here in studio. Pascaline, let me start with you with regards to what we've seen, these images coming to the fore of money exchanging hands and food packs being delivered. Just your initial reaction, please.
Oh, thanks very much. Good evening to our people of South Africa. One should note that this mining charter in Bizo was to benefit the communities and perhaps to resolve conflicts between the workers, or rather labor, and the communities. So now, where we are, we're very much ashamed that one of our blacks fighting what have to benefit blacks, what needs to benefit blacks in terms of the economy, and the blacks, that, particularly women and the youth. So now you would wonder why would Pred advocate for the office of the Premier? Who is the Premier reporting to? Is the centre still holding? What is Pred representing? Remember, Pred is an NPC, a non-profit company. What are their exact interests? Are they fighting for the same communities that were there present, fighting along with them, or are they fighting for their own interest, or are they fighting for the whites that they are working with? Because when you look at the Pred certificate, you would just see that it reflects that one of their directors is a white person. We are not an enemy to white people, but we are an enemy to white monopoly capital. So one would where we are seated, it's very unfortunate. It's very much unfortunate that Skudla would come and fight and pretend to be sent by the Premier. And if indeed he is sent by the Premier, or those are allegations, therefore we demand that the office of the Premier should distance itself from this thing. This thing perhaps is not even our fight. We are seated here speaking about Skudla, but who is Skudla in the current epoch of the economic liberation? Who is Skudla?
Well, let's move on and ask some of our other panelists to give and share their comments with us here. Matilda, I'm going to come to you. Even though some people argue that white monopoly capital does not exist, it's a made-up term, why would certain individuals then necessarily be against the mining charter, something that's been implemented to transform, the economy of South Africa?
It's so strange that people will say white monopoly capital doesn't exist. I mean, if you were to ask me, a person born and bred in Emalahleni, the city of coal, that's all I have seen, white capital monopoly. As a person, young person growing up there, now as an adult female black who owns a business in that area, I'm forever gate kept from participating in the mining sector as a business owner because of that white capital monopoly. It is so obvious and so evident that you just need to just go there and see it. You know, to say that in a country, in a town that is filled by black people, that you would see so many white people operating around that town. So it would be unfortunate if really the people that have disrupted the mining charter are supported by the white capital monopoly that doesn't exist. No, it would be such a sad day.
Matilda, let's move on. We are joined in studio as well. Just want to introduce my final guest, Malusi Zondi, Secretary General, Federation for Radical Economic Transformation, joins us as well. Malusi, thank you for joining us this evening. One of our callers, taking a listen to what they had to say, they said that, you know, money exchanging hands and food parcels and T-shirts being distributed for people to act a certain way is not something new. This is something that South Africans have seen over the last couple of years. How do you react to statements like that?
Well, thanks for the question. We can't run away from the fact that, you see, South Africa, although we're democratic South Africa, in our society, there is a fact. We are living with poverty, there's unemployment, and most of all, there's inequality. In Mpumalanga, we are faced with debts currently. And the white monopoly capital that my colleagues are speaking on about is the same people, the same thing that is affecting our community. And what we are saying is we are tired. We have been almost for many years shrinking into poverty lines. And we can't allow people of our black color to say they are a bridge into us moving towards a direction that says people of our own country, people of our own local areas must benefit to their local economic development opportunities. That is the only thing we are relying on. Our government has an integrated development plan strategy which will outline ways of our people benefiting. But there, again, government can't work alone. There is us as civilians. There is us who shall say we must move on, we must participate into the development of our own areas. We are looking into that and we are saying we are there. And currently, I must say, people are mobilized into understanding what exactly are we talking about, because most of these things we talk about and people are not aware of what exactly are we engaging on.
Thank you very much, Malusi. Let's leave it there for now. Unfortunately, we've run out of time this evening. I want to thank all of my guests in studio, Mr. Malusi Zondi, the Secretary General, the Federation for Radical Economic Transformation, as well as Pascaline Mazibuko, Sanko region, also Matilda Yende, the Community and Economic Development Forum representative, and Ricardo Olafir, the founder of the Rights to Print Banknotes Independently. I also want to thank all of our guests for calling in this evening and sharing your views and comments with us. But from myself, Abigail Fasahi, and the team, that's a wrap. ANN7 Prime with Cindy Mabi is up next. Enjoy. Good night.